guys I've seen before up at the class. I just want to take this time right now to point out both Eddie and Dylan, and they also have a part-time worker, Steve. Not only did they do the cooking for us today, but those two guys, along with the help of another gentleman, they're the ones who maintain this park on a daily basis. They're the ones who, they're the ones who keep our streets clear of snow, paved, trash up along the sides. They're the reason that the flags are hanging up and down Baltimore and Pine Street. The holiday decorations come Christmas time. All that work and stuff you wouldn't even imagine is done by two gentlemen sitting right back there in the yellow. So big shout out and credit to them. They work hard every day, and even I get blown away hearing sometimes from talking to Eddie the things they do that, again, we just wouldn't think of because we just notice it gets done, but we never really take the time to pay attention to who's doing it. So to Eddie and Dylan, thank you very much for all your hard work, and enjoy working with you guys. Thanks for the food too.
Yeah.
As far as codes and zoning goes, the purpose of zoning is to regulate land use in any particular municipality for the health, well-being, and safety of the particular town you live in. I could stand up here all day and go over every single individual thing. The bottom line is it would probably get boring, and I could get half of it because it is literally close to 4,000 pages, or sorry, yeah, 2,000 pages long. I did hear that, and this goes for everybody, to any group out there who's working on being a potential business in Mount Holly, my phone is always on, all right? Feel free to contact me, call me, email me, text me, for any particular projects you have. I had overheard that one of you guys may be looking into the Deer Lodge as a potential project, and because it's in a flood zone, what regulations you may or may not have to follow. Again, to go over them all right now would be mind-blowing. So again, set up a time with me, or just call me and we'll set up a time. Gladly answer all your guys' questions. As far as I'm concerned, when we're done here today, and even when we're done on June 20th, this is not done for me. If at any point after that anybody has any questions, my phone is always on. Please feel free to ask, okay? I'll help guide you guys as best I can. As you saw through the driving tour, Hunter's Landscaping is one of the last big projects that we worked on as far as zoning goes, the rules and regulations of what can go on out there, being a flood zone, make sure it's up to code. That project, although it's almost done, still has ways to go, so we're still waiting for final inspections and permits on that. That's kind of pretty much it. Again, without going into too much detail with each individual thing, it's just kind of one of those things you get up here and give a summary, but I would gladly answer any questions anybody has at any time. So please feel free to reach out.
Very good.
For students who are working on projects, is there any way to access online kind of like a zoning map of the borough?
Yes, there actually is. The zoning map itself can be found on our borough website. Okay, at the top left, where you can either click on the codes and zoning. Okay, the zoning map is there. If you want to find a list of our actual zoning ordinances, including the floodplain ordinance, there are links on the website too, which will take you to an E360 code. And then on the left-hand side is every ordinance that the borough has, and down at the very bottom is zoning, which will drop down another menu for every single category. Again, it's long. Feel free to read it yourselves. You can use the search bar at the top. I can even help guide you through how to use that website, because that can get overwhelming at times if you're not sure what you're doing. And you can see for yourself. That is where I learned all the zoning rules and regulations and things like that. For me, I realize I'm not as young as you guys, but for me to sit there and try to flip through a book that is literally that thick, it made more sense to me to be able to pull it up on a computer screen and read through everything there. So, yes, sir.
The Deer Lodge has never been flooded, has it?
Not to my knowledge, no.
No, so it's in a flood zone, so somebody wanted to open it up and you required it to be lifted up, and so that just caused the person to walk away. So don't you think that you should make an exception that says they don't have to change the building?
Well, first of all, the rules and ordinances come from FEMA themselves, so no, we cannot make an exception. However, the building does not have to be raised up. Flood vent, what they call flood vents, that are specially designed by FEMA, in essence, in the event of a flood, will open up and allow the water to flow through without damaging the structure itself. As far as how many and the size of the flood vents, that is determined by the actual size of the structure, okay? So no, you would not have to elevate the building. You would have to come up with an idea of what size the building is going to be, how many square feet, And then we have to go through FEMA's regulations to decide how many flood vents are needed. And a quick example, there's a brewery down in Texas that's been there for over 100 years and has flooded almost 20 sometimes. Every time they know the weather's getting bad or there's a chance of a flood, they pull out the small equipment, raise the larger equipment, flood vents open, water goes through. When the water recedes, they bring in hoses, spray out the building, put all the equipment back in place, and they're usually brewing again within 48 to 72 hours after the water's receded. So it can be done.
Can you bring up that we're a donut hole?
For a donut hole? Yeah, just retouching on again on what we talked about up the classroom, you know, we are surrounded by other municipalities. We pass through part of South Middleton to get here. Right down the road is Dickinson, okay? Dickinson just hired a brand new township manager, and their new codes and zoning officer literally just started 3 days ago, Monday. So again, being our neighbor, when I met the new township manager at the Council of Governments meeting, I gave her my business cards, we exchanged information, and I told her the same thing I'm telling you guys. Have you or your zoning officer reach out to me. I'll help as much as I can, answer questions. We're neighbors. You know, what they do affects us and vice versa, so let's try to work together. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Jason. All right.